Hello my creative friends. I have been having fun getting inky this morning, making my July 2012 thank you cards. Here I have the Gumball Green and the Midnight Muse, and I'm going to make one out of primrose petals for you today. So let's get started. For today's card, I'm going to use the Four Seasons Hostess stamp set. It comes in these two packages. We're going to be using this one right here. And we'll also be using the butterfly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use my markers and color in the bird, the branches, and the leaves. I'll be using two of the 2012 to 2014 in colors for this. And I'll also be using soft suede. To color them in, you use the brush tip of your marker, and basically you're going to use just the side of your marker and color exactly what you want. So for the Gumball Green, I'm going to be doing the leaves. The leaves are really close to the edge of this image, and almost every time I do this, I end up getting a little bit of green onto the side. Now it doesn't look good when I go to punch it out later, so what I do is I take my blender pen and I remove any of the ink that I got where I didn't want it to be. When you have colored your image in with your markers, you want to give a little huff on it to re-moisten it in case it dried out. Then you're just going to press it down. Okay, now you're going to want to clean your stamp. Next I'm going to take primrose petals and stamp the image just like I did here. I'm not sure if you can see this in person, but this is one of the reasons I use this sheet. When you first stamp with these new ink pads, they are so saturated that the color appears pretty dark, but you can see it lightens over time. Hopefully you can see. I know that the camera, it's hard, but it will lighten up. So I'm going to set this aside and do my cutting while that ink dries. One more thing, I want to do the butterfly for the inside. And just to show you, you can just use your markers. If you don't have all the ink pads or you don't want to get it out, just take your marker across just like you did with the bird. And you can see too when you do the marker, I don't know if you can see, but it is lighter than the saturated ink pad. Okay, so now I'm going to set this aside and do my cutting. Okay, this is going to be our card base. So this is just a sheet of 8.5 by 11. And what we're going to do on this 8.5 side is we're going to cut it at 4 1/4. So you'll end up with 4 1/4 by 8.5. We're going to set this aside for a minute. You're also going to want to cut a sheet of Very Vanilla 4 by 4. I already did this, so set this aside. And grab your wood grain paper. This is from the Naturals Composition Specialty Designer Series paper. There are several different patterns in here. One of them is this really cool wood grain, and I'll show you the back. Okay, so I'm going to cut this strip. It's a 12-inch strip, and I'm going to cut it at 2 inches. And then I'm going to turn it and cut it at 4 1/8. Okay, there's 4, and the 1/8 is you've got 1/16 of an inch and an 1/8 of an inch, and another 1/16 and an 1/8, which that would be 4 1/2. So if you haven't used this cutter before, you don't know what those measurements are, That's what they are. I'm really looking forward to the new Stampin' Up! Cutter. It's not yet available though. So we'll use this one and we'll do 4 1/8. Then you're left with this piece, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut this leftover piece at 1 inch. You see? And then I'm going to take this cutting blade off and put the scoring blade on. I'm going to take this piece of early espresso. So this is the 8.5 by 4 1/4, and what you're going to do is score it at 2 1/8 on both ends. So again, I'll show you 2 1/8 if I can zoom in. Okay, so there's 2, and then 2 1/16, and then 2 1/8. And one of the things I've noticed is this cardstock is pretty thick, so just go back and forth a couple times. Okay, you're probably hearing my dogs in the background. I've got 2 dogs and a kitten, and they are running amok right now. So I apologize if you hear them or if they shake the table. Okay, so I did 2 1/8, and then I'm going to flip it around and do the other side at 2 1/8. And if you had the scoring tool, I think that would work even better. Okay, we've got our 2 score lines at 2 1/8 on each side. And what we're going to do is we're just going to fold these towards the middle, towards each other. They should meet in the middle. And then when you got it looking pretty good, take your bone folder and just make that crease. This is a piece of Very Vanilla, and if I didn't say it earlier, these are stamped on Very Vanilla as well. I also experimented with Whisper White and Chocolate Chip, and so some of you may be getting Whisper White and Chocolate Chip, and some of you will be getting the Early Espresso and the Very Vanilla. But I'm going to take this piece that's 4 by 4, and I'm going to take the leftovers. Remember, we did 2 larger panels that are 2 by 4 1/8. And then the remaining panel we just cut in half. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to add a little bit of snail to the back. And I'm just going to align it at the top and give the same amount of border on these 3 sides. I'm going to take the oval punch that's 3/4 by 15/16, and I'm going to punch out my little bird. Nope, nope, nope. My little butterfly. Okay, so we've got our small oval butterfly, the Primrose Petals cardstock, and I'm going to take the 1 inch circle punch, punch that out. Take my snail again and just take the butterfly, center it in the circle, then we're going to center the butterfly on the top of this panel. And this will be the inside of the card. I left it without a greeting. This could be hello, sweet friend, miss you, get well, happy birthday, almost anything you want. So we're going to take some more snail and just adhere this to the center of the inside of our card. And there's the inside panel. For the other colors, I just use whatever color is my main focus. So either the Gumball Green or the Midnight Muse. Next, we're going to take these panels And I'm going to get some snail on them and adhere them to the front. Alright, I put the dogs outside. Let's see if that helps. Okay, so I'm going to take this panel, remember it's 2 by 4 1/8, and I'm going to adhere it to each side, each panel on each side, and you just want a little bit of a border all the way around. And what I do is I line it up with the outside edges. Okay, so that part's done. My ink is now dry, and you can see that the colors are the same, and they're much closer to the Primrose Petal cardstock. You're going to take the 2 5/8 inch scallop circle punch and just punch it out. Next, take your 2 1/2 inch circle punch and punch out a piece of Primrose Petals. Take your snail adhesive and just adhere your scallop circle to your regular circle. Then take your 1 inch punch again and you're going to punch out this bird. Now if you got a little bit of ink on one of the edges, you can position this so that you punch out the little boo-boo. And if you didn't, what I do is I just try and get that edge of the branch right there and make sure I have the leaves in there as well. And punch it out. Then I'm going to take a dimensional and put it on the back here. Let's set this aside while we get our ribbon on. Next we're going to take the Primrose Petals stitched satin ribbon, and this is about 16 to 18 inches long, and you want it to kind of line up over to this side. Now it's easier for me if I have it stuck down a little bit, so you can just use your snail or your sticky strip or even glue dots to kind of hold it in place on one side. And then once you have it lined up, just tie your little knot. And you want to leave this longer so that you can, or the person you're giving it to, can tie it and untie it. Sorry, I was working upside down. Okay, now you're going to take your dimensionals and put dimensionals on just one side of your big circle, and it doesn't, if you're going to use like I did, going to use the punch out, you do not need to worry about where the bird is because it's going to be covered up. Okay, then pop your bird up on a dimensional and put it on 2, and there you go. I made sure the dimensional was top and bottom of the ribbon so that it wouldn't add extra bulk. Okay, so here are our 3 colors. We've got Midnight Muse, Primrose Petals, and Gumball Green. If you place an order with me, heatherscreativeblessings.blogspot.com will take you on the right-hand side to my Stampin' Up! Store. If you place an order with me, you will get one of these cute cards sent to you in the mail. I'll show you one more time what this little Gumball Green looks like on the inside. So you open it up, and there you go. You can put any message you want. Isn't that cute? I just think these are so sweet. So thank you for being my customer, and thank you for joining me today. Have a great day. Bye.